So this month we start a new series called Mind Games. Mind Games. And what we're trying to do this month is help all of us to see that a lot of times your and my defeats don't start at the enemy, it starts in the mind. You can beat yourself before you even play the game. You can lose before you even step out of your house if your mind is playing tricks on you. Y'all remember Bushwick Bill? My mind's playing tricks on me. Come on, you don't listen to Heaven 97 all day long. That sometimes your mind can make you lose before you even start trying to play the game. So this morning or this whole month, we're going to be looking at mind games on how we need to adjust some things in our own personal lives to be better, because God is trying to do something tomorrow if you get today straight. So this Sunday, we're going to start off with looking at our attitude. If you have a jacked up attitude, it affects your opportunities for this day. And sometimes that comes out of our family setup. Sometimes that comes out of our heritage. Sometimes that comes out of our drama. And many times life can grab you in such a way that it will make you mess up tomorrow because you never got over yesterday. So today we want to look at one text that might bless us. We want to continue to pray for those driving back to Lake Charles, Louisiana today, and ask for God's blessings on their life. If you'll meet me at the book of Ephesians chapter 4, I want to just read a couple of verses to you and see if this won't germinate in our lives so that we can have better attitudes tomorrow than we did today. The Bible says in verse number 21, since you have heard about Jesus and have learned the truth that comes from him, throw off that old person, that old sinful nature, and your former way of life, which is corrupted by lust and deception. How do you do that? Verse number 23 teaches us. Instead, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and your attitudes. Let the Spirit renew your thoughts and your attitude. And put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly righteous and holy. This morning, I'm not going to keep you long. I just want to preach on the subject, attitude of the mind. Attitude of the mind. Let's pray. Father God, help us with this word. Please stand up in me, God, that we might be able to deliver this word in such a way that all who hear will look at their own lives, not look at their neighbor, not look at their spouse, not look at their children, but look at their own lives to see how our attitudes affect our altitude. So help us, dear God, and fill us up with your word that we might be better today than we were yesterday. Please forgive us of our sins. In your son's name we do pray. And all who believe said amen. Let me tell you something about preaching, that normally anytime you're about to preach something, God tests you on what you're about to preach before you can get to it. That I'm not preaching something that I have conquered, I'm preaching something I struggle with. Because right when I decided a couple of months ago that we were going to deal with mind games, and out of about 2 weeks ago, Spirit of the Lord gave me the ability to discuss how we're going to work on our attitudes. God tested mine all week long. Started off with a car going down. It wasn't just a battery. It was something that made the car go to the shop for a couple of days. When I got that bill, anybody gonna pray with me for a while? Don't y'all front, don't y'all fake, don't y'all be fake. I had to say some words in a foreign tongue. Then right after that, I kind of got myself together and said, well, it could be worse. Found out something was going wrong at the house and had to get somebody out there. That was about 2 days later, and when he gave me that bill, I said a few other words. And then one day I was sitting at home this week and had put on my old man clothes. Y'all know what I'm talking about, them clothes that you would never wear outside. It's the shorts that the string is gone and the t-shirt where there's so many runs in it, look like it's giving a MapScope map. And I had sat down on the couch, gonna sit down and watch a basketball game. I heard my wife scream out, said, Paul, you need to run out there and look at Blake. And right when I looked out the window, I saw Blake hanging off the back of a dune buggy, going 100 miles an hour, holding on to the back, and I could see all of his teeth because he was having fun with the Lord. And I ran out there looking a hot mess, and I gave him a few words. And right when I sat back down, the Lord kind of said to me, now what you gonna preach Sunday? I found out something looking at this week, that life happens. Okay, this ain't a deep message. Life will show up. And something I found out about life over 42 years, it never shows up when you're ready for it to show up. Let me give you number 2 of that. It never shows up in separated spurts. It's one after. You finally go to the store and get some peanut butter. And go to the cupboard, you don't have any jelly. You go get the jelly, now you don't have any peanut butter. You go get peanut butter and jelly, now you ain't got no bread. There's always something that's causing life to happen. But what I want to give you today is that since you know life will happen, it's not how life happens, it's how you and I respond to life that really makes the difference. So if you know drama is going to come, if you know a hot mess is going to show up, if you know you're going to have some months where there is more months than money, if you know that the doctor will eventually call you back in for a second visit, if you know that everybody who smiles in your face don't always have your best effort, there are some people who will smile in your face, always want to take your place. If you know that's going to happen, I have to learn not to allow my past to dictate my future. Okay, let me talk to you for a while. Because some of us have had some bad stuff to happen in our history. Come on, let's just say what it is. Some of us have gone through hell and high water. It wasn't your fault that at 13 that uncle touched you in an inappropriate way. It wasn't your fault that that man left you after you had given your whole soul, mind, heart, and body. It wasn't your fault that you ate well and still ended up with cancer. It wasn't your fault that you were fiscally responsible and you did everything you could, but it just seemed like one thing after the next happened. The problem is that sometimes in the darkness of life, we get past it, but we never get over it. Now, let me talk to you. You treat the new man bad because of what your mama said when you were 15. See, your mama didn't trust me. So what she does is spit out that poison on you. And now you treat a possible blessing as a potential burden because your past dictated a negative view of a stereotype that's not always identifying every individual truth. that sometimes we take life and our outlook is actually a negative view on our inlook. The reason you hate everybody is because you really hate yourself. The reason you don't see any hope in anybody else is really because you can't really see any hope in your life. The reason you can't pray for your friend to get a new job because they know you won't even apply for one. It's the negativity that you have allowed to boil up in you, that your outlook on life and your outlook on everybody else is actually your inlook on how you view yourself. Because sometimes we can live past our hurt, but have you learned from your hurt? There was a member that came to me not too long ago who said they wanted to sell their house and move to an apartment complex. And I suggested to him, don't do it. Don't do that. Stay in your house. Later on, I was in the office about 2 or 3 days later, and I said, why would you say that? Because they were trying to save some money, trying to do something great, and they thought that was a way to go back so they could learn, so they could go forward. And I gave them some bad advice. And I thought about it later. Why do I have that view of apartment complexes? Why do I have a negative view of it? And I realized when my wife and I, 18 years, 16 years, were building a house, we were, no, it might have been about 15 years ago, we were building a house. During that time in the apartment complex, my father died and my wife had cancer. I connected my bad experience with a place. Okay, don't miss it. So because I had a bad space at a bad place, I spit negativity and a bad attitude on somebody else doing something that might bless them. But I have never gone back to look at why I view it like that, because we never look at us. Paul teaches us in this text that sometimes your attitude dictates your ability to improve or fail. Listen to me carefully. Paul says in Ephesians chapter 4, verse number 21 through 23, since you have become a believer, since you accepted Jesus Christ, since you put off that old man, that old woman, and now have put on Christ, he says, follow Christ, follow the truth, and get your attitude in check. Wouldn't truth be enough? No. Truth, when you find it, affects how you view your future. Okay, that's going to take some time, but I'll be there in a minute. That if I only have doctrine, but I don't know how to live, I'll have truth and still be miserable. If I know that Jesus Christ is the Son of the living God, but I don't know that there is a brighter side somewhere, I can get in the water, leave the water, and go to work and still have a bad attitude because I live a life where I feel like somebody owes me something. Okay. So sometimes in our lives, we feel like that God has lied to us. If every day is not a perfect day, and if every day is not a day set up to your glory and your honor, we reject God because we don't feel like God will ever introduce into our lives any negativity. God didn't introduce it into your life to kill you. He introduced it to make you better. And you have to learn that what happened to me, but how do I learn that I don't let it happen again? Okay. Life happens. So since I know it will happen, the question you have to ask yourself, how do I respond to it? And how I respond to when it happens is me having a healthy perspective of what life is. Okay, catch this. Because you got to prepare your attitude for life. So since I know that there's going to be another day that I'm sitting on the couch and my son is going down the street. Since I know that I drive a car that is frail, that will break down. Since I know that my health won't always be right, I have to learn how to look at my rainy days and my sunny days. And when I think things over, I still have to say God has been good to me. Because I've had more sunny days than bad days. So I've learned to stop complaining. Because God's been, y'all not going to pray with me for a second. So here it is. What's the perspective? What's the perspective? It is that it ain't as bad as you make it to be. Let me say that one more time, because somebody's asleep. Somebody trying to figure out if Julio Jones is ready. It ain't as bad as you make it to be. It reminds me of a young girl who was in her first year at college, and she wrote her parents a letter. And she said, Mom and Dad, I hope you're sitting down, because I'm writing you this letter to let you know my apartment complex burned. I had to jump out the second floor window. When I jumped down, my body hit the grass, but my head hit the concrete, and I passed out. If it wasn't for a attendant at the gas station who ran over, picked me up, and took me to the hospital where I laid in ICU unconscious for 4 days, I wouldn't have lived. So thanks be to God, he came and checked on me every day. When I finally got out of the hospital, I went to my apartment complex, and it was gone. So I needed a place to live. And that young man was there, Mama. That young man was there to let me live in his basement of his house. We've since fallen in love. And we plan on having a wedding. But we got to have a wedding quick before I start showing. He doesn't believe in Jesus Christ. He's of another faith and he's of another race. But I know how tolerant y'all have been all my life. And you will receive my new husband and my new baby in the care of your home, because you've always been benefactors of people who are in need. She wrote at the bottom, Mom and Daddy, I'm not pregnant. I'm not getting married. My apartment didn't burn. But I am flunking science and math. When you get this information, I wanted you to look at it in the right perspective. They responded back, that's all. Now, had she just sent a letter that said I'm flunking math and science, they would have hit the roof, as my parents did when I flunked out of college. But had I had that letter to send to them when Southern University kicked me out of college, it would have changed their perspective. Listen to me. You make life bad because you can only see the negative of life. Just because your parents were drumming don't mean you got to be drumming. Just because your kinfolks are broke don't mean you have to be broke. Just because you're around people who are dream killers don't mean you have to buy in to the dream killers who are around you. You can have a successful marriage. You can have a successful work life. You can start a business. You can be healthy. You can grow up children in the love of God. But you got to learn how to look at what's right more than what's wrong. And some of us don't know how to be happy if you don't have nothing happening. Some of us need a new car to have joy. Some of us need red bottom shoes to be really joyous. Some of us need the new game, the new gadget, the new phone, the new this, the new that. But when you really look at your life and say, God, you have been good to me, you can see your bad day even as a good day when your attitude is right. And some of us can't convince anybody to come to Jesus because they see too much of you. Because you look at that job as if I was in charge, it would be better. You look at that job as you the only one there that knows how to do it. You invest more in talking about the boss than praying for the boss. You invest more in being mad about your bonus than saying, at least you got one. Sometimes we are people who look at the worst in ourselves and look at the worst in others because we don't know how to find joy in the little things in life. So Paul says in Philippians chapter 2, verse number 1 through 5, he says, if you're having trouble with your attitude, why don't you have the mind of Christ? And the mind of Christ in Ephesians 2, verse 1 through 5 was, he did not mind giving up stuff because he knew who he was. Now, if anybody had the right to have a bad attitude, it seemed like it should have been Jesus Christ. To leave his celestial palace, to come down here on earth, to mess with jacked up folks like you and I, and to not come here just as a human, but to come here as a baby, being a slave to mankind so that he could die on the cross. Imagine being born and being told that you're going to die on this day. And not only are you going to die on this day, but you're going to have a cruel death, and the reason you are dying is not because it's your fault. It's because they don't know how to act. And you still have favor with all mankind. It's because he thought it not robbery to have his assignment from God and know that life is more than where you live. Life is more than what you eat. Life is more than what you drive. There's a purpose to your life, but you can't ever fulfill your purpose if your attitude is looking down more than looking up. And let me say something while I'm here. Nobody owes you nothing. Nobody don't care you got some education. Nobody don't care you got 3 MAs and MBs and MDs and everything else. You still got to work for what God has for you in your life. And most of us never know how to look up because our perspectives are bad. Because you never addressed why you're hurting. You hid it so long that now it's a part of your heart that you can't take medicine to get rid of. You got to do surgery. And you don't have surgery on Sundays for an hour. You know when surgery takes place? Surgery takes place when you're by yourself. When you're in meditation with God. You say to God, create in me a clean heart that I might be able to see you. And in that process, God will reveal some stuff in you that you forgot about. And he's saying your attitude ain't bad just because life has happened. Your attitude is bad because you are looking more at what's wrong than what's right. Even though our country is jacked up right now, at least we're still in a country where we can serve God. I know it's jacked up on 1600 Pentagon Avenue. But let me, Pennsylvania Avenue, thank you, Sister Thorne. That's why she sits on the front row. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But at least I got food on my table. I know I'm not rich, but at least I'm not wearing the same blue jeans I wore yesterday. I know that I don't have it all together, but at least God has brought me somebody who has yoked up with me that we can do things together so that one day when this life is over, I'll have somebody saying, well done, not good and faithful. So catch this. That not only is it your perspective that will mess you up if you don't look at life right, but sometimes the problem is you never deal with your inner me. I just want to teach this now. What's your inner me? Everybody has an enemy that's inner me. You know, I was studying the children of Israel, and I found out about the children of Israel. They never had to confront their physical enemies because they never got over their inner enemies. God told them you're going to deal with the Jebusites, the Hoodites, the Ghettoites, and all of them are out there. When they left slavery, went across the Red Sea, they never even got close enough to deal with them because God could never get their attitude straight to possess the land. Just look at the text. 2.5 million people going over and only 2 make it. 2.5 million people leave slavery and only 2 make it because those 2 could see the giants as grasshoppers, but everybody else saw them as giants. It's perspective. It's you dealing with you because God can promise you everything, but you got to prepare your inside to receive it. That divorce hurt you. I know it, but it's going to make you stronger. How your children, you prayed over them. They got baptized. They accepted Jesus Christ and still went astray. You got to keep praying through it. God will bring them back. You gave every Sunday. You were faithful to tithe. And the alternator went out on the car. You still had to have some work done at the house. Your son was still on the back of somebody's go-kart. That don't mean God doesn't love you. It just means life happens. And I started thinking at least he got enough sense to put on a helmet. Somewhere along in life, I can never be better tomorrow if I don't deal with Paul. You can never be better tomorrow if you don't deal with Hooper, if you don't deal with Melanie, if you don't deal with Deacon Sneed. If whoever you are, the gap in your life is not your spouse. The gap in your life is you. Because we want everybody else's attitude to be better while ours stay jacked up. Sometimes along the way, I got to adjust me. In every plane, they have a device called an attitude indicator. People came to me earlier and say, no, it's an altitude. No, go research. It's called an attitude indicator. Right there at the line of what's called an attitude indicator indicates the horizon when they're flying. If they put that indicator above the horizon, the plane goes up. If they put that indicator below the line, the plane goes down. The only way the pilot can make a difference is by adjusting his side for the plane to respond. If you don't like where your life is, it's nobody else's job to adjust themselves for you. It's your job to adjust yourself so you can dictate if you're going up or if you're going to go down. Is your money jacked up? Keep buying. Let me try this side because somebody about to get whooped. Somebody about to have a misunderstanding during the game tonight. If your money is jacked up, it's going to stay jacked up if you never adjust. You ain't got to go buy red bottom shoes. Go down to Home Depot, get you some red spray paint, and you cross your legs as if, y'all not going to pray with me for a while? And let me help you with something. Nobody don't care anyway. You ain't got to have that new purse, because I would prefer having a $5 purse with $500 in it than $500 purse with $5 in it. It's your adjustment. Your marriage don't have to be jacked up. is jacked up because you keep expecting him to change. If I can only move in a new house, I'll be happy. But you can have a mansion and still can't sleep. If I can get a new car, I'll do better. You can have a Bentley, Rolls Royce, Tesla, and still don't have anything driving you. You can get a new job, making extra money, but still, if you don't have your mind set on Jesus, you will have more money and you'll make more bills if you don't make some adjustments. So if you're not happy with your life, it's nobody's job to fix it but you. I know y'all come every week and want to holler, but somewhere along the way, why holler on Sunday and have hell on Monday? It's an adjustment that has to be made to make life better. And that adjustment is something you and I have to do, not once a week, not once a year, not once every 5 years. It's daily. Now, I know when you preach sermons like this, some of you are sitting here right now saying, I ain't got no attitude problem. I'm going to challenge you to not complain or murmur about anything from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock. When you go to the restaurant, if they happen to go to the next table and you sit down first, okay. And you pull the race card out. Okay. If your neighbor gets a promotion before you do, if you go to the grocery store because you waited to the last minute on Super Bowl weekend and you want some Frito-Lay chips and they don't have any, I just want to see from 12 to 5 how you respond. Because your attitude depicts your ability to draw others to come to Jesus Christ. So what I want you to do is this week, just for today, I want you to email the church if you did not complain or murmur from 12 to 5. And if you were able to make it from 12 to 5 without complaining and murmuring, I'm going to get that list and I'm going to meet with you and do a special sermon about lying. Because you know what? Sometimes we complain and we don't even know it. It's in our DNA. But you got to think consciously. How am I going to change my life so that Christ can be seen in me? Are y'all with me? Christ needs to be seen through my life. So when I go to work tomorrow, I want people to see Christ. When I go to my family reunion, I want people to see Christ. When I have trouble in my life, every day is not a perfect day, I want people to see Christ. When I go to the grocery store and I'm supposed to put the cart back in the cart rack and I put it up on a curb until somebody sees me and say, Pastor, good to see you. And then I act like I'm getting it off to take it. And I'm the same person who complained when the prices go up. Check your attitude. And it'll change your altitude. Here's your takeaways this week. Everybody, pull out your phones, pull out your tablets, pull out whatever device you have. And this is your prayer journal for this week. This is your prayer time for this week. And asking God to direct your step, asking God to bless you as you work through this week. Look at number one. Number one says, first of all, you got to understand life. This actually says, every day is not going to be a perfect day. So grow up and deal with it. It's not going to always go your way. You can sing, it always works out for my good. But sometimes it looks like life is not. But if you already know you're going to have good days and bad days, you got to understand how life works. Number two, learn how to keep situations in a healthy perspective. That means that it's not as bad as you make it out to be. Life is not as bad. I know they said you're sick, but they could have given up on you where you couldn't even do treatments. I know the marriage is messed up right now, but maybe God is turning it around. So this drama can draw y'all closer together. So learn how to keep the situation in a healthy perspective. And number three, do not allow your attitude to destroy your potential. If you work on your attitude, guess what? God has so much in store for you. God has promises for your life. God has potential for your life. But he's not going to force you to be successful. He wants you to adjust your attitude so that when it's all said and done, you can give him all the praise and the glory because he is a mighty good Savior. When you know that, God will bless you and keep you. Is that all right? So we're going to pray for you right now. Our leaders are going to come to receive you. If you want to put Christ on in baptism as one precious soul did this morning, we'll be here to do that for you today. If you just need prayer, or if you want to connect with this church, who is trying to be, we're not a perfect church, but we try to be a Jesus-centered church. So if you have those desires, after this prayer, we're going to all stand. We're going to beg of you to come to Jesus Christ today. Let's pray right now as our leaders prepare to come. Dear God, we love you. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you that you even allowed us to work on our attitudes, to adjust our attitudes, to adjust our setup so that we can see you better. And that the light that you have given us through Christ Jesus can be exemplified better because we're not walking around acting like every day will be a good day, but we even know how to look at negative things with a positive perspective, knowing if you took me to it, you sure enough will take me through. So dear God, help us to have that faith, that strength, that mighty confidence, and knowing you are God, and if you love me, you'll take care of me. Somebody's going to deal with something this week. Somebody's still dealing with something last week. Somebody's going to deal with something today. Dear God, help us to know it all works out for the glory of them who love God and who are called according to his purpose. So help us today to see you greater, see you more, and help to work on our attitude so that when it's all said and done, we can say, when I think things over and I look at my life, had it not been for you on my side, where would I be? Please forgive us of our sins. In your son's name we do pray. And all who believe said amen. Please stand with us right now if you want to put Christ on in baptism, if you want to connect with the Oak Gardens Church, or if you just want prayer. We are here to minister to you right now.
Never would have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me, and I can say, never would have made it. Never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me, and I can say, I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm better.